The morning is soft and clear, the kind that makes a city street look gentle. Sunlight sits on the roofs, and the air smells like fresh grass because someone nearby watered their lawn. Marcus Hale stands on his front porch with a small pair of garden shears. He wears a faded t-shirt, old jeans, and a cap with a curved brim. The cap keeps the sun out of his eyes as he trims a few thin branches that hang over the steps. He works slowly and neatly. Each snip feels like a tiny promise that this house is home again. He moved back only 2 weeks ago. For years he lived out of suitcases and hotel rooms, flying in and out of the city without time to pause. Now, for the first time in a long time, he can hear the little things, the squeak of the porch boards, the faraway rumble of a bus, a bicycle bell as a kid rides past with a backpack bouncing on one shoulder. Marcus likes these sounds. They remind him that life is more than meetings and long cars with dark windows. It is also Saturday morning sun and the smell of coffee that he set to brew in the kitchen. The house is not fancy, but it is solid. The brick is steady, the porch is wide, and the small lawn slopes toward the sidewalk in a friendly way. On the mailbox, black letters spell his last name, Hale. He checked the sign twice after it was installed. Not because he feared a mistake, but because names matter. A name on a mailbox tells neighbors that someone is rooted here, that mail and packages and holiday cards will find their way to a real person. Marcus bought the house for that feeling. He wanted a door he could unlock himself, a porch light he could switch on at night, and a garage where he could park without worry. The garage door is closed this morning. Inside sits a plain sedan with a government plate. From the street, it looks like any other car. This is how he prefers it. He works a job that attracts attention, but he has learned attention is not the same as respect. Quiet is often safer and kinder for everyone. He hums to himself as he trims. Next, he sweeps thin green twigs into a neat pile with a handheld broom. He glances toward the corner where the trash cans stand, each labeled with his address, stenciled in white numbers that match the ones on the porch post. He is a careful man. He notices the little proofs that say, "This is mine, this is right, this is where I belong." A delivery van stops 2 houses down. The driver hops out, leaves a small package at a neighbor's door, and waves as he jogs back. Marcus raises a hand in return. He wonders if that neighbor is home. He has met only 2 people on this block so far, an older woman who loves potted plants and a young couple who asked for a good local coffee shop. The rest of the faces are still new to him, names not yet attached. He plans to fix that in time. He will say hello when he takes his evening walks. He will ask how long they have lived here. He will learn the pattern of the street the way he learns a city map calmly, piece by piece. Inside the house, the coffee maker beeps. He steps in through the screen door, rinses his hands, and pours a mug. He drinks it black, a habit from long days when cream was not always an option. He carries the mug back outside and sits on the top step. The wood is warm under him. He takes a slow sip and thinks about the tasks ahead: test the smoke alarms, oil the squeaky hinge on the back gate, call the city about a street light that flickers at night. Simple tasks feel good. They do not require a briefing or a team. They require time and care, and he has both this morning. Across the street, a new SUV pulls up. A person Marcus does not know, mid-40s, neat clothes, sharp eyes, climbs out and pauses with a phone in hand. The person looks at him for a long second, then looks away, then looks again. Marcus nods in a friendly way. The person does not wave back. They check their phone, glance at his house, and walk toward their own front door with quick steps. Marcus watches without judgment. People need time to be comfortable. A street is a kind of family, it takes a while to learn how to act like one. He finishes his coffee and sets the mug on the porch railing. Then he walks down to the front lawn and kneels by the small flower bed. The soil is a bit dry. He tests it with his fingers, stands, and stretches his back. He turns on a short hose and waters the bed until the ground looks dark and satisfied. Drops of water shine on the leaves like tiny mirrors. He smiles. He likes taking care of small things. He thinks about how, in his other life, he must always look at the big picture, the patterns, the timelines. Here, the picture is 1 yard wide and 1 yard deep, and the timeline is the next hour. A jogger passes by, earbuds in. Marcus nods again, and this time he gets a small nod back. Progress, he thinks. He switches off the hose, loops it carefully, and checks the porch again. The cap of his pen sits by the broom. He pockets it. He likes when everything returns to its place. From somewhere down the block, a dog barks twice and then goes quiet. A breeze lifts. It carries the scent of laundry soap and summer leaves. It also carries something else, an awareness that his presence is being watched from at least one window. Marcus does not turn to find which one. Instead, he reaches for the screen door and steps inside to grab a pair of gloves. When he returns, he notices the SUV neighbor is on their porch, still holding that phone, still looking. Their face is hard to read from this distance. Curious, cautious, unsure. Marcus chooses to assume the best. He lifts his hand in greeting again. The neighbor lowers their gaze and slips inside, closing the door with a soft click. He pulls on the gloves and returns to trimming. He works from left to right, a slow and steady rhythm. Snip. Collect. Snip. Collect. With each cut, the shape of the small tree becomes cleaner. He remembers a phrase an old mentor used to say, start at the edges, then focus the center. He finds it useful in many parts of life. The morning is almost perfect. Almost. There is a slight pull in his mind, like a string tied to a fence. It reminds him that he has not yet fully met this street, and this street has not yet fully met him. He thinks about knocking on the neighbors' doors later with a simple introduction. Nothing big. Just a hello, I'm Marcus, I live at number 12, nice to meet you. He would like to do that before the week fills up with travel and calls. He pauses to check his watch. The face is plain, the strap is old. The time is past 9. He plans to be finished outside by 10. At 10, he will read on the back porch. At 11, he will take a short walk and find a sandwich. At noon, he will call his sister to ask about her new job. It feels good to plan small things. It feels almost like learning to breathe in a new city all over again. A car slows near the curb and then rolls on. A different neighbor pulls a trash can back from the street and gives him a quick smile. He smiles back and keeps working. The pile of cut branches has grown now, a neat green hill by the steps. He will bag it later. He is in no rush. He likes that he is in no rush. Inside the house, his phone buzzes on the kitchen counter and then stops. He does not go to it. It can wait. He adjusts his cap and shifts his weight from one foot to the other. When he looks up, he catches a glimpse of the SUV neighbor again through a thin curtain, phone still in hand. It does not bother him, not yet. Being seen is part of living anywhere. Being known takes longer. He finishes trimming and sweeps the porch with a straw broom. The strokes make a gentle sound on the wood. He works until the last leaf has moved to the pile and the boards look clean. He steps back and looks at the house. It looks cared for. That is all he wanted this morning, to leave it a bit better than he found it. He is about to gather the cuttings when someone's voice, faint and uncertain, drifts across the street. He cannot hear the words, only the tone. It sounds like a person asking a question that is really a worry. He considers walking over to say hello, but decides against it for now. People often need space to turn worries into questions they can ask out loud. He carries the pile of branches to the side of the house and sets it beside the yard bin. As he returns to the porch, He notices the small details again: the mailbox with his name, the house number on the post, the welcome mat with a simple pattern, the key ring on his belt that fits perfectly in the front door. These are ordinary things. They also speak for him. They say he belongs here without raising their voice. He takes his coffee mug back inside, rinses it, and sets it upside down on the rack. He washes his hands and looks at his reflection in the window above the sink. He sees a man who is calm, steady, and grateful for a quiet morning. He also sees a man who understands that quiet can change without warning. When he returns to the porch once more, he feels the street pause. It is hard to explain, but he knows that feeling. Somewhere, a decision has been made. Somewhere, a thought has been turned into action. He hears a door open across the way. He hears the light buzz of a phone call connecting. He does not know who is on the other end. He does not know what words are used. He only knows that this, too, is part of living in a place you love. Sometimes, people who do not know you will try to decide who you are. He breathes in and lets the breath out slowly. He sits on the step again and rests his hands on his knees. He looks at the street, at the row of trees, at the slice of sky between rooftops. He thinks about how small proof can be: names on mail, keys that fit, porch lights that glow at night. He thinks about how big trust can be: how it starts with a hello, how it grows with every kind word, how it survives even when a morning takes a turn. He does not know exactly what is coming. He does know who he is, and he knows this house is his. That is enough for now. Somewhere down the block, a siren sounds faintly, not urgent, just present. It passes, and the sound fades. The city returns to its soft hum. Marcus stands, stretches his shoulders, and reaches for the yard bin. He has work to do, and he will keep doing it. He does not rush. He does not hide. He continues with the small tasks that make a home feel like a home, even as the air around him begins to hold a different kind of attention, one that he did not ask for, and one he will meet with patience and care when it arrives. The air stays warm and bright, and the street keeps its easy rhythm, but a thin line of worry begins to run under it. Marcus does not see the first sign right away. He is busy tying a bag of garden cuttings and checking that the knot is tight. He wants the yard to look neat when the collector comes. That is how his mind works: take care of small things, big things will feel smaller. Across the street, a curtain moves and then rests. A phone call finishes. A new one starts. He hears words carried by the breeze, short and clipped, not angry but sharp. He cannot make them out, and he does not try. He keeps working, calm and steady. He tells himself that most worries are solved by simple facts. Facts are friendly. Facts help everyone meet in the middle. A low engine sound grows at the end of the block. It is the sound of a car that moves with purpose. The car turns the corner and rolls to a stop near his house. The paint is white. The lights on the roof are off. The doors are marked with a badge and the name of the city. Marcus looks up and feels the moment change the way air changes before rain. He sets the yard bag by the steps and wipes his hands on his jeans. The driver's door opens. A patrol officer steps out. He is in his 30s, tall, with a clean uniform and a firm walk. His eyes sweep the porch, the yard, and then rest on Marcus. He does not smile. He does not say good morning. He says, "Let me see your ID." Marcus has many ways to respond. He chooses the one he believes in: slow, clear, and kind. "Good morning, officer," he says. "This is my house. My name is Marcus Hale. The mailbox has my name. I can show you my keys, my smart lock, whatever you need." The officer does not look at the mailbox. He stands a few feet away and repeats, "ID now." Marcus nods. He keeps his hands where they are. His tone stays even. "I can get it. It's inside on the kitchen counter." I was trimming branches. If you like, you can come with me to the door. I don't mind. We can do this step by step. The officer shakes his head. No sudden moves? Keep your hands where I can see them. Why are you on this property? Marcus hears the choice of words and feels the weight of it. He points with his chin, small and non-threatening, toward the porch post. The address is on that post. The mailbox says Hale. That is me. He adds, I moved in 2 weeks ago. If you call dispatch and run the address, you'll have my name. A window opens 2 houses down, and a face leans out. A door across the street opens halfway. A phone points toward the sidewalk. This is a street that watches. He knows streets like this. They hold their breath for the next sentence. The officer radio clicks. He speaks in a steady voice and uses the word trespass. He gives the address and describes Marcus's clothes. He says, subject claims residence. The words hang in the air, carrying doubt with them. Marcus stays on the porch step. He does not move forward or back. He does not raise his voice. Officer, he says, I will do everything you ask. I am here in good faith. Please look at the mailbox. Please let me show you the key that fits the door. If you like, I can open the garage with the remote. My car is inside. The registration has my name and this address. The officer's jaw tightens. We'll get to that. For now, keep your hands visible. I will, Marcus says. He spreads his fingers a little, as if to show they are empty. May I speak while I keep my hands like this? Speak, the officer says. I understand you got a call, Marcus says. I understand you are doing your job. The fastest way to finish is to check the facts that are right here. Mailbox. Address. Key. Garage. We can be done in 2 minutes. The officer glances at the porch post but does not step closer. He looks at Marcus's cap, his old t-shirt, his worn jeans. He looks at the yard bag and the small pile of branches. He looks at the screen door and the welcome mat. His eyes move over the details but do not seem to take them in. He radio clicks again and asks for any report of a break-in. Dispatch replies, none. Marcus's phone buzzes faintly inside the house. He does not look toward it. He keeps his eyes on the officer's face and his voice gentle. I know I am a new face on this block. I plan to introduce myself to my neighbors. Today is quiet. We can handle this quietly too. A second car turns onto the street and slows. It is not a police car, it is a ride-share. It drops off a passenger 2 houses down. The driver glances at the scene and then pulls away. The passenger pauses, watches for a beat, and then walks inside. The street's attention returns to the porch. The officer shifts his stance. You said your ID is inside, he says. Yes, Marcus replies. On the counter. May I reach for the door handle so I can open it for you to stand at the threshold while I get my wallet? Or, if you prefer, I can tell you where it is, and you can retrieve it yourself. I will wait here, hands visible. Your call. The officer looks uncertain for a whisper of a second. Then he says, stay put. He steps toward the door and tries the handle. It is locked. Marcus says, I can unlock it with this key. He moves slightly and shows the ring on his belt, keeping his movements slow. Or I can use the smart lock app so you can see the log. It shows my entries for the last 2 weeks. You can unlock it from there, the officer asks. Yes, Marcus says. The app will confirm the time. You will hear the motor. May I do that now? The officer hesitates. He studies Marcus's face as if trying to decide what to believe. Around them, cameras on porches and phones form quiet circles of attention. The siren sound from earlier does not return, the city hum stays soft. Finally the officer says, "Do it." Slowly. Marcus nods. He uses one hand to pull his phone from his front pocket. He keeps the other hand open and visible. He taps with care, turns the screen so the officer can see, and opens the smart lock app. A list of timestamps fills the screen: entries, exits, battery checks. He taps unlock. The screen shows a green circle. A small motor sound clicks from the door. The screen door trembles a hair's breadth as the deadbolt slides. "Thank you," Marcus says. "Do you want to step to the threshold?" The wallet is on the counter beside the sink. It is a dark leather wallet. The officer steps closer to the door but stops short of entering. He looks back at Marcus as if waiting for some sign. Marcus offers none but patience. The officer reaches for the handle, opens the screen, and pushes the main door a few inches. He does not cross the line. He peers inside, sees the kitchen counter, and the wallet resting next to a clean coffee mug set upside down to dry. He looks again at Marcus and back at the counter. Then he closes the door without touching the wallet. "Let's keep this outside," he says. "That is fine," Marcus replies. He keeps his hands visible. "Then may I reach into my pocket for my other ID? I keep a spare in my back pocket when I work in the yard. It is not a driver's license, but it has my name and picture." The officer frowns. "What kind of ID?" "Employer ID," Marcus says simply. He does not explain further. He knows that names can pull focus. He prefers process to do the work. It has a phone number for a secure office that can confirm identity. They will not say my job title to you on a public channel. They will, however, confirm my name and that I live here. The officer lifts his chin toward the porch step. Slowly, he says, "Take it out. Place it on the railing. Then step back." Marcus does as asked. He moves one hand to his back pocket, takes out a slim card case, opens it, and removes a plain badge-sized ID. He sets it on the railing and steps back. The officer approaches, looks, and reads the name. The badge does not look like the ones he sees every day. It is simple. It is also unmistakably official to anyone who knows what to look for. He looks up at Marcus, then back at the card. "What is this?" he asks. "As I said," Marcus replies, "it is an employer ID. The number on the back connects to a secure line. If you call, you will get an office that can verify me. They will ask for your name and badge number so they can log the call. They will not discuss anything else. Please use that number if you are unsure." The officer breathes out a short breath. He glances at the houses around them and at the quiet phones held like small lanterns. He radio clicks again, but his voice is softer now. "Stand by," he says into the mic. Then, to Marcus, "Stay where you are." "I will," Marcus says. "Thank you." The officer takes out his own phone, looks at the number, hesitates, and puts the phone back. He seems to weigh the moment against his usual routine. Marcus understands that look. It is the look of a person deciding whether to follow a script or follow the facts in front of him. Scripts are fast. Facts are true. Sometimes they match, sometimes they do not. A small sedan turns onto the block and slows near the corner. A neighbor steps out with a bag of groceries and gives a puzzled glance at the scene. Marcus offers the neighbor a soft smile to show that things are calm. The neighbor nods, a little reassured, and disappears inside. The officer clears his throat. "You said you moved in 2 weeks ago," he says. "Yes." "You got mail here?" "Yes," Marcus says. There is a stack on the hall table. The top piece is a welcome letter from the utility company. "The account is in my name." "You keep any bills on your phone?" the officer asks, almost as if he does not want to ask but cannot help it. "Yes." Marcus tilts his head toward his phone still open in his hand. If you like, I can show the email from the utility. It has my name and this address. You can read it without me touching the screen. The officer nods, steps closer, and reads. The email is short and plain. It says welcome and lists the service start date, the address, and the account holder's name, Marcus Hale. The officer reads it once, and then again. He looks at the mailbox. He looks at the house number on the post. He looks at the key ring that matches the deadbolt. He looks at the small pile of cut branches, at the yard bag tied with a square knot, at the coffee mug drying on the rack. The small facts line up like tiles, each one fitting the next. From the corner of the block, the faint sound of another radio call drifts. It is not for this street. A bird lifts from a wire and glides to a tree. The morning holds steady, as if waiting for the officer to catch up with it. Marcus does not push. He does not press. He lets the silence work for them both. He has learned that silence can be a bridge when people need to cross from assumption to understanding. Finally, the officer speaks in a quieter voice. I got a call from a neighbor, he says, almost apologizing, and yet not. Said someone was on the property. Said it didn't look right. I understand, Marcus says. Thank you for coming to make sure everything is okay. It is okay. I live here. The officer nods once, short and stiff. He still does not smile, but something in his shoulders eases. I'm going to call a supervisor, he says, the words cautious but clear. We'll close this out the right way. That is a good idea, Marcus says. I appreciate it. Please also feel free to use the number on the card. The office expects calls like this for identity checks. The officer picks up the card again and turns it over in his hand. He seems to understand that there is more to this morning than a simple check, that there are lessons resting inside the quiet facts, waiting to be noticed. He nods once more and steps back, lifting the radio to his shoulder. Across the street, a porch phone lowers. A door clicks shut. The street exhales. The story is not finished, but the tone has shifted. It has moved from sharp to careful, from doubt to review, from a script to a set of facts that speak for themselves. Marcus remains where he is, hands easy, eyes calm, letting the morning be what it is, a chance for people to do better, one choice at a time. The quiet on the block feels thinner now, like a sheet pulled tight. The patrol car sits with its engine ticking softly, and the officer stands near the porch, radio at his shoulder, eyes moving from Marcus to the house to the open sky above the telephone lines. Marcus keeps his hands easy and visible, and he keeps his voice ready, the way a host stays ready to greet a guest who is unsure of the address. The supervisor's car turns onto the street a few minutes later. It doesn't race, it just arrives with steady purpose. The vehicle stops at the curb, and a sergeant steps out. He's in his 50s, with careful eyes and a posture that says he has seen many busy mornings. The name on his tag reads Ruiz. He takes in the yard bag, the trimmed branches, the mailbox, the porch light, and the relaxed way Marcus stands even now. Then he looks at the patrol officer, who straightens as if being measured. Morning, Sergeant Ruiz says, greeting them both at once. Tell me where we are with this. The patrol officer explains in quick phrases, neighbor call, possible trespass, subject claims residence, ID inside, employer card on the rail. He speaks like someone trying to put puzzle pieces on the table before anyone checks the picture on the box. While he talks, Ruiz listens without interrupting. He glances at Marcus again. Marcus takes a small step forward and stops at the edge of the top stair. Good morning, Sergeant, he says. I'm Marcus Hale. This is my home. I'm prepared to show whatever proof you need: keys, mail, utility email, garage opener, smart lock log. I'd like us to settle this with calm and care. Good, Ruiz says, and he means it. Let's start with what we can see. He walks to the porch post, reads the house number, and then looks at the mailbox where Hale is spelled in clear black letters. He taps the mailbox lightly with the back of a knuckle, a simple check that it's not a sticker hung for the morning. It's sturdy. It belongs. He turns and scans the porch, spots the upside-down coffee mug drying through the screen door, and nods at the small orderliness of it. The sergeant returns to the rail and picks up the employer ID. He reads the name, reads the number, reads the fine print on the back. He doesn't lift his brows or make a show of recognition. He simply takes it in, then looks up at Marcus. "Mr. Hale, you said you have a utility email and a key that fits." "Yes," Marcus says. "The email is open on my phone if you'd like to read it again. And I can unlock the door or the garage, your choice, so you can see access in real time." "Let's do both," Ruiz replies. "While we verify, I'd also like to make a quick call using this number on the back." "That okay with you?" "It is," Marcus says. "They'll ask for your name and badge so they can log the request. They will confirm my identity and residence. They prefer to keep the rest minimal." The patrol officer shifts, folding and unfolding his hands. He looks at Sergeant Ruiz, waiting for direction. Ruiz gives it with a small gesture. "You keep the perimeter calm, I'll handle verification." Ruiz holds the employer ID in one hand and his phone in the other. He looks at Marcus. "Go ahead with the lock." Marcus nods. He opens the app again so the sergeant can see. "Unlocking front door," he says, tapping the command. The green circle lights, the motor hums, the bolt slides, and the screen door shivers the tiniest bit. Then, at Ruiz's request, Marcus taps another button. "Opening garage," he says. A second later, the garage door begins to lift with a smooth, steady sound. Sunlight spills into the shadowed space, revealing the sedan with the plain government plate. Marcus doesn't say the letters on the plate, he lets the sergeant see them for himself. Ruiz watches the door rise and the light fall across the car. He doesn't step into the garage or onto the porch. He simply records the facts in the way experienced people do, quietly, completely, with no drama and no rush. "Thank you," he says. He taps the number on the back of the card and puts the phone to his ear. "Sergeant Luis Ruiz," he says when the line picks up, giving his badge number and the address. "I need a straightforward identity confirmation for a resident. Name on card is Marcus Hale." While Ruiz waits, the patrol officer glances at the neighbors. More curtains are open now. A jogger has paused across the street, pretending to stretch while she watches. A delivery driver coasts by extra slow, then decides not to stop. The street is a small audience that did not buy tickets but found itself in the front row anyway. Marcus feels their attention like a light breeze that keeps changing direction. Ruiz listens to the voice on the other end. He gives the address again. He nods a few times, though the person on the line can't see that. Then he says, "Understood. I'll hold." He lowers the phone and looks at Marcus. "They're verifying through their internal system. Might be a minute." "That's fine," Marcus says. He means it. Patience is not a trick to him, it's a practice. The patrol officer clears his throat. "While we wait," he says to Marcus, "do you mind telling me when you moved in?" "2 weeks ago," Marcus replies in the same even tone. "I've met the folks at number 10 and number 16. I plan to meet the rest over the next few days. I've been busy settling utilities and fixing a few minor things." "Okay," the officer says. He swallows. His voice is softer now, not so clipped at the edges. "You, keep the garage closed usually?" "I do," Marcus says. "Less dust, less attention. Nothing fancy inside. Just a sedan, a ladder, and a box of tools that I keep in a tidy row." "I see," the officer says, as if that adds a piece to a puzzle he wishes he'd started with. He looks at the tied yard bag and then down at his own hands. He rubs a thumb over his knuckles, a quiet sign that the moment has waited for him now. A car door opens behind them. The neighbor who loves potted plants steps out with a watering can. She takes in the scene with a steady gaze that says she knows how to stay calm and kind at the same time. "Morning, Marcus," she calls, as if to set a tone for the street. "Your porch looks nice." "Thank you," Marcus says, turning slightly so his hands remain visible. "Your new geraniums are thriving." "They are," she says. She looks at the officers and adds easily, "He's good people. Lives right where he is." Then she goes to her pots and begins watering. The simple act feels like someone restoring the rhythm of a song after a skipped beat. Sergeant Ruiz's phone lifts again. He listens, gives two brief answers, then says, "Appreciate it." He ends the call and places the employer ID back on the railing with care, as if he's returning a borrowed book. "We're almost there," he says to Marcus. They're completing their internal note. "I've got what I need." He turns to the patrol officer. "Let's do the rest by policy. We'll document the call, the checks we performed, and the outcome." The patrol officer nods, a little tight, a little relieved. "Yes, Sarge." Ruiz faces Marcus. "Mr. Hale, I'm going to outline our next steps so everything is clear. We'll record that the initial response was to a neighbor's call, that you offered multiple proofs of residence, that we verified the lock, the garage, and the utility email, and that we contacted the number on your employer card. We'll also note that you remained calm and cooperative." "Thank you," Marcus says. "May we include a request for a copy of the body camera footage for my records?" "You may," Ruiz says. "I'll provide you the request form and the contact at our records division. You'll get a case number today." "I appreciate that," Marcus replies. He feels the street relaxing by degrees, like shoulders lowering after a long hold. Ruiz looks once more at the porch, the mailbox, the house number on the post, and the open garage with the sedan inside. He inhales and lets the breath out slowly, as if he is putting the morning in order. Then he speaks to both men in a low voice meant for a room, not a stage. "Moments like this carry lessons," he says. "We're going to handle the paperwork cleanly. We're also going to talk about what we do first when we get a call like this, what we look at, what we ask, how we let simple facts steer us." He doesn't wag a finger or raise his tone. He just says the words and lets them sit where they are. The patrol officer nods again. "Understood." "Good," Ruiz says. He turns to Marcus. "You mentioned a records copy and a meeting with leadership if needed. I can facilitate that. We have a community liaison program for situations that would benefit from a follow-up conversation. It's not just for show. We actually listen." "Then I would welcome it," Marcus says. "A conversation that helps everyone get better is worth our time." Ruiz's phone buzzes once more. He reads the screen and gives a small nod to himself. "Verification complete," he says, not loud, not dramatic. "We're closing the check on our end." He tucks the phone away, then faces the patrol officer. "Run the address one more time. Make sure your notes are exact. Then issue the case number and provide the records request info." The patrol officer begins to work through the steps, this time slower, this time aware that the order of motions matters as much as the motions themselves. He reads the address out loud, spelling the street name carefully. He confirms the mailbox name. He writes down the timestamps that the smart lock app displayed. He notes the garage opener time. He inputs the call to the employer number and the result, identity confirmed, residence confirmed. He writes a line that says, "Subject remained calm, offered proof, provided access by request." While he writes, the sun shifts a little higher. The jogger finishes stretching and jogs on. The delivery driver returns, this time stopping to put a small box on a doorstep further down, with a smile that says the street is back to normal. The neighbor with the potted plants hums a tune and tips the watering can gently, the water sparkling in the light. The morning is not perfect, but it is mending. Ruiz pulls a thin form from the driver's side compartment of his car and hands it to Marcus. "Records request," he says. "Fill out your contact line and the date. I've put today's case number at the top." Marcus writes his contact information in clear block letters, hands steady. He reviews the form as if it were a checklist before a takeoff, names correct, numbers correct, no missing lines. He tears off the request receipt and keeps it in his wallet. The rest goes back to Ruiz, who folds it neatly and slides it into a thin folder. "Thank you, Sergeant," Marcus says. "You're welcome," Ruiz replies. "One more practical step, if you'd like, I can introduce you to the neighbor who called, not to embarrass anyone, but to help with a proper hello. It can take the air out of future worry." Marcus thinks for a second. "Yes," he says. "At a time that feels calm. I don't want them to feel put on the spot. A friendly introduction works best when the room is cool." "Agreed," Ruiz says. "We'll arrange it through the liaison office." The patrol officer returns with a small card that has the case number and the records division contact. He offers it to Marcus. Their hands don't touch, but the gesture is careful, like placing a fragile item on a shelf. "Here you go," the officer says. He looks up, and his expression holds a mixture of relief and reflection. "I appreciate your patience." "Thank you," Marcus says. "I appreciate your follow-through." There is a small pause that feels like a crossroad where a better path has been found. It's quiet, but the choice is clear. The officer nods once more, not just to Marcus but also to the lesson he will carry past this porch, into other calls, on other streets, where other mornings will ask him to decide quickly and decide well. Ruiz closes the loop. "We're clear here," he says. "Mr. Hale, if you need anything further today, I'll leave my card." He hands over a card with his name, his direct line, and his email. "If you prefer email for the liaison meeting, use that." "I will," Marcus says. He tucks the card into his wallet next to the request receipt and the employer ID. The sergeant gives the smallest smile, the kind a person offers when they're glad a morning did not become an afternoon. "Enjoy your day, sir." "I plan to," Marcus says. The garage door hums closed again with a smooth, even sound. The front door lock clicks as Marcus taps the app. The patrol car's engine settles into a quiet idle. A bicyclist rings a bell at the corner, just because bells sometimes ring when streets feel safe again. The supervisor and the patrol officer step away from the porch, speaking in low tones that sound like planning, not protest. Marcus watches the block for a moment, memorizing the slight return to normal, the way a child laughs 2 houses down, the way a flag stirs on a short pole, the way the dog who barked earlier now naps in a patch of shade. He thinks about the next small task on his list: oil that back gate hinge, and he smiles because small tasks still count, even after a complicated hour. He goes to the yard bag, checks the knot again, and reaches for the broom to gather the last few leaves near the step. He moves slowly, on purpose, as if to show the day that steadiness is not fragile. It returns, if you let it. It holds, if you help it. And it can carry you, if you trust it, all the way to the moment when truth is no longer questioned but simply seen. The street feels almost normal again, but the air still holds a small question, like a note that has not yet settled. The garage door has closed. The smart lock shows its green light and then goes quiet. The patrol officer stands with his notebook. Sergeant Ruiz has just ended his call. He has the calm look of someone who knows what the next sentence should be and wants to say it in the right way. He walks back to the porch, not fast, not slow. "Mr. Hale," he says, voice steady, Thank you for your patience. We have confirmed your identity and your residence. He pauses, as if choosing a lane that is not about drama but about truth. I would like to speak one more detail aloud, so there is no confusion later. If you prefer, I can say it quietly. Your call. Marcus studies his face and understands the choice. Titles can make moments louder than they need to be. But silence can also feed rumors. He glances at the neighbors. Some doors are still open. A few phones are down. The woman with the potted plants gives him a kind nod that says, "Do what helps the street breathe." Marcus turns back to Ruiz. "You can say it in a normal voice," Marcus replies. "Clear and simple is best." Ruiz inclines his head. He does not climb the steps. He does not perform. He just speaks. "Identity confirmed," he says. "This home belongs to Marcus Hale, who serves as the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation." The words are plain. They land without a thud. The street grows very still. A bird on the wire lifts its wings and then folds them again. The patrol officer's pen stops moving. His eyes rise from the page to Marcus's face, then back to the employer ID on the railing, as if matching two maps he had never thought to place side by side. Marcus does not change his stance. He does not take a breath louder than the last one. "Thank you, Sergeant," he says. Then he looks at the patrol officer and adds, "I appreciate that you stayed and followed the steps with care." The officer swallows. His posture shifts in a small way that means a great deal. "Mr. Hale," he says, voice tight with effort, "I'm sorry I did not start with the simple checks. I should have looked at the mailbox and the address first. I should have asked better questions. I will do better." "Thank you for saying that," Marcus replies. "The truth is, the process should work for everyone, every time. Titles should not be the reason facts are seen. Facts should be seen because they are facts." Ruiz nods once, quietly pleased at the clarity. He turns to his officer. "Let's treat this as a live lesson," he says, friendly but firm. "Walk me through the order you would use next time on a call like this." The patrol officer does not rush. He looks at the porch post, the mailbox, the front door, the garage. He names each first step out loud. "Confirm address on scene. Observe signs of residence, name on mailbox, matching numbers, access to locks. Ask for simple proof from the person present, keys, mail, a utility email. Keep tone calm, explain actions, allow the person to show what helps." "Good," Ruiz says. "And if a neighbor's call uses strong words, how do you handle that?" "Separate the call's feeling from the facts," the officer says, a little more sure now. "We check with an open mind. We do not assume. We let proof speak." "Exactly," Ruiz says. A door opens across the street. The neighbor with the SUV, the one who had watched through the curtain, steps onto the porch and stands with both hands on the rail. Their face looks pale and careful. They do not hold a phone now. They look like someone who hopes to make a small thing right in a moment that has grown large. Marcus notices and chooses grace. He speaks first, in a kind voice that gives room. "Good morning," he says. "I'm Marcus. I live at number 12. I moved in 2 weeks ago. I look forward to meeting you when the time is calm." The neighbor swallows and nods quickly. "Good morning," they answer, words soft. I I did not know. I should have introduced myself. I will do better." They almost say more, then stop, as if they understand that apologies do not need a long frame to hold them. "Thank you," Marcus says. "Introductions help a street more than any title ever could. We'll meet soon." Ruiz gives the neighbor a polite nod, then returns to the task in front of him. "Mr. Hale," he says, "I'd like to propose a follow-up." Our community liaison office can schedule a short meeting with leadership this week. You can share what worked here and what we can improve. We'll bring training staff and the patrol area lead. That's a good plan, Marcus replies. I have a few suggestions. They are simple, but they matter. A short checklist for trespass calls. A reminder to scan the scene for proof before making strong statements. A script that keeps tone respectful while still careful. And a process for quick, secure identity checks that does not delay the moment but also does not turn the street into a stage. Ruiz smiles a little at that last line. I like the way you say that, he says. No stage. Just steps. Steps, Marcus agrees. Also, I'd like to make a small request for today. If rumors start, they grow fast. Could you share a brief statement with dispatch and, if needed, with any neighbor who asks? Something like, a resident was reported. Officers verified ownership. No crime. Matter closed. Thanks to everyone for staying calm. Short and neutral. We can do that, Ruiz says. He takes out his phone and types a note. I'll have dispatch place a courtesy log. If we get follow-up calls, we'll use the same wording. Marcus's phone buzzes on the kitchen counter. He asks, may I step inside to take a quick call? I think it's my office checking in. Of course, Ruiz says. We'll wait here. Marcus opens the door with the app, steps in, and answers. The call is brief. A voice from his security team asks if he is safe and if the local department has been respectful. Marcus gives a plain summary and mentions Sergeant Ruiz by name for his good work. He adds a simple line, no special treatment was requested or needed. The process worked once facts were used. The voice thanks him and ends the call. When Marcus returns to the porch, he carries a small folder. He keeps his tone light. I found the welcome letter, he says, and a copy of the property record from closing, in case you want to see it for your file. We're complete, Ruiz says, lifting a hand in thanks. Keep those for you. We have enough. The patrol officer steps forward with the small card he prepared. Here's the case number, he says. And the records division contact, like we discussed. If you want the video, they'll guide you. Thank you, Marcus says. He takes the card and tucks it into his wallet beside the sergeant's card. I'll send an email to the liaison office later today. There is a small pause. Then something gentle happens. The patrol officer looks at the tied yard bag and says, almost shyly, can I carry that to the curb for you? It is a tiny offer, but it means a lot. Marcus nods. I appreciate it, he says. The officer lifts the bag and sets it by the curb. He returns, a little out of breath, but with a steadier look in his eyes. He has done a simple act of service on the same porch where he had been firm and quick an hour earlier. The action says what he is trying to hold, a better way to be here, on this street, in this job, with these people. Ruiz looks at his watch. We'll clear the scene, he says. Mr. Hale, you have my number. I'll expect your email, and I'll start the meeting plan today. Thank you, Marcus says. One last thought for that meeting, I'd like to invite 2 neighbors. Not the whole block, just 2. One who has lived here a long time and one who is new. Their view will help. Good idea, Ruiz replies. You can send me their names. They shake hands not as a show, but as a simple, human close to a complicated hour. Marcus's handshake is warm and brief. Ruiz's is steady. The patrol officer offers no hand, and that is okay. He offers a clear "Have a good day, sir," and it is enough. The sergeant and the officer walk back to their cars. The engines start, quiet. They pull away without lights, without hurry. The jogger who had circled the block comes by again, gives Marcus a thumbs up, and keeps going. The woman with the pots waves with her watering hand and calls, "Coffee on my porch later if you like." "I'd like that," Marcus answers. He stands on his step for a moment longer, letting the stillness settle into true calm. He looks at his house. He looks at the name on the mailbox. He looks at the porch boards he swept that morning. He thinks about how strange it is that a title can bend a moment when the same simple facts were there all along. He thinks about how important it is to build habits that do not need titles to do the right thing. He takes off his cap, wipes his forehead with the back of his wrist, and smiles at the sky. Then he puts the cap back on and returns to his list: oil the back gate hinge, test the smoke alarms, send that email to the liaison office, greet one more neighbor on his afternoon walk. None of these tasks will end up on the news. None need to. They are the kind of tasks that quietly keep a street strong. Inside, he writes the email. He keeps it short and kind, with 4 parts: thanks for today, notes on the checklist and tone, idea for a quick identity check line at dispatch, plan for a small, useful meeting with 2 neighbors present. He reads it once, trims a few words, and sends it. When he returns to the porch, the sun has moved past the trees and onto the steps. The wood glows. He picks up the oil for the gate and walks around the side yard. The hinge squeaks once, then accepts the oil and quiets. He swings the gate a few times to work it in. The sound becomes smooth, like a sigh that finally found rest. As he heads back to the front, he hears a child laugh down the block. He hears a window close. He hears the small click of a camera phone shutting off. The street does not feel like a stage anymore, it feels like a neighborhood. That is the turning. Not the title. Not the reveal. The turning is this: a shared choice to let facts guide tone, to let patience lead actions, and to let respect be the rule that does not need a siren to announce it. Marcus sits on the step. He looks at the path he trimmed earlier, neat and green. He thinks of the words he will say at the meeting. They will be simple words. Start with what you can see. Listen before you decide. Use the tools you have. Speak to people as people. He believes in simple words, because simple words are easy to recall when a morning asks you to choose fast. A breeze moves down the street and lifts the edges of the welcome mat. He presses it back with the toe of his shoe. He checks the time. He has a little while before lunch. Enough time to read a chapter of the book on his table. Enough time to practice being a neighbor who waves first and remembers names. He picks up the broom again, not because the porch needs it, but because care is a habit, and habits shape days. He sweeps a quiet line from left to right, and the house seems to nod, as if to say, yes, this is home, and this is how you keep it. The turning point is complete, not by noise, but by order. Not by force, but by proof. Not by rank, but by steady steps anyone can learn and everyone can trust. The next morning arrives like a fresh page. The sun slides along the porch rail, the same way it did before, but the street feels lighter. Marcus wakes early, makes coffee, and smiles when he hears the soft click of the smart lock and the gentle hum of his refrigerator. Small sounds can mean home, and today they do. He opens the front door and sees the yard bag gone collected already. The sidewalk looks neat. The little tree he trimmed stands tidy, its leaves bright in the light. He waves to the jogger as she passes. She slows and says, "Good morning, Mr. Hale." It is the first time she uses his name. He thanks her and wishes her a good run. The woman with the potted plants calls across the way, "Coffee later?" He answers, "Yes, around 4, and she gives a cheerful thumbs up. An email from the community liaison office arrives before noon. The message is short and well made. It thanks Marcus for his calm, confirms a meeting on Thursday evening at the local community center, and lists the people who will attend: Sergeant Ruiz, the patrol area lead, a training coordinator, and 2 community members. The liaison suggests, plus any 2 neighbors Marcus would like to invite. There is also a simple agenda attached: welcome, review of steps taken, notes for improvement, and a plan of action with dates. Clear and simple, just the way Marcus prefers. He forwards the invite to the neighbor with the plants and to the jogger, who happens to live at number 16. He also writes a kind note to the SUV neighbor. He does not criticize. He says he would like to meet, to exchange names, and to share the same invitation. He writes that knowing each other will help the street. The neighbor replies within minutes, yes. Thank you. I'm sorry for yesterday. I will come. On Thursday evening, the community center has the calm hum of a place that has held 100 small events, music recitals, book clubs, craft nights. A few folding chairs are set in a circle. There is a pitcher of water, a plate of simple cookies, and a small sign on the wall that says welcome. The training coordinator arrives first, carrying a slim folder and a pen with the words "Listen First" printed on the side. Then comes Sergeant Ruiz, unhurried, steady. He shakes Marcus's hand and thanks him for his time. The patrol officer enters a minute later, in a neat uniform, looking a little nervous but ready. He nods to Marcus and to the neighbors. The meeting begins on time. The liaison opens with a light tone: we are here to learn, to improve, and to leave with 3 clear actions. People can do a lot with 3 clear actions, Marcus thinks. He likes the number. Ruiz goes first. He gives a clean summary: no extra drama, no missing steps, a neighbor call, arrival on scene, the first exchange, the proof offered, the verification through the smart lock, the garage, the utility email, and the phone number on the employer ID. He adds how they documented the call and how they closed it. His words are even and fair. He includes the part where the process could have started better. He says, we will fix that. The training coordinator shares a draft checklist for residents' check calls. It fits on one card. The card says, confirm address, scan signs of residence, ask short, respectful questions, allow the person to show helpful proof, explain each action, keep tone calm. A second small box on the card holds fast facts: how to use the secure identity line when offered, how to log the call, and the exact words for a neutral dispatch note. The patrol officer reads the card in silence, then nods once as if committing it to memory. The liaison invites Marcus to speak. He keeps it simple. He says he is grateful for a process that looks for facts. He says facts should be noticed before titles are known. He suggests a short script for officers when they arrive: good morning. I'm here because of a call. Let's check a few quick facts together so we can close this out. He also suggests a short script for residents: here is my name, my key, my mailbox, and my proof. Tell me how I can help you. Check quickly. Scripts help when nerves are high, they hold the room steady. The officer listens, focused. When it is his turn, he speaks softly but clearly. He says he is thankful for a second look at the morning. He says he missed the mailbox and the address at first. He says he did not let simple proof lead soon enough. He says, I'm sorry. Then he adds something practical: he has asked to join a mentorship plan with a senior officer known for calm, and he has enrolled in a short course on communication under pressure. He wants his habits to be better. The neighbors share, too. The jogger says she felt tense when she saw the scene, but the calm tone helped. The woman with the plants says simple greetings on the street can prevent worry later. She suggests a welcome to the block note that new neighbors receive with 3 bits of info: who lives where, who to call for everyday help, and how to reach the liaison office if a situation ever feels confusing. The SUV neighbor's voice is soft when they speak. They say they saw a person they did not know and let worry lead instead of curiosity. They say they will introduce themselves in person next time. They add, I'm sorry I did not do that before. A plan takes shape, neat as a recipe card, the training coordinator will print the laminated residence check card for patrol notebooks within 2 weeks. Roll call will include a 5-minute practice on the script. Dispatch will keep a short statement ready for any follow-up questions from neighbors. The mentorship plan for the patrol officer will start next week and include 2 ride-alongs with a mentor known for steady tone. The liaison will also share the welcome to the block note with the homeowner association so that every new resident gets a friendly hello from the street. They set dates. They shake hands. They do not take a group photo. They do not turn the meeting into a show. They leave with the 3 actions that the liaison wanted and with one more that Marcus quietly hoped for: a street that sees people first. On the way out, the patrol officer steps close enough to speak without the room hearing. "Thank you for your kindness," he tells Marcus. "I know you didn't need to come. But this helps me change, and it will help me help others." "You're welcome," Marcus replies. "Thank you for doing the work. Habits become help for the next person you meet." Days pass. The changes begin to show. Officers on the block carry the new card. One afternoon Marcus watches a pair handle a similar call 3 houses down. He hears the calm script from the sidewalk: "Good afternoon. We're here because of a call. Let's check a few quick facts together." He smiles when he hears the resident reply, "Here's my key and my mailbox. How can I help?" The exchange takes less than 2 minutes. The officers wave and leave. The resident returns to watering a row of small flowers, and the street keeps its soft rhythm. This is how trust is built, with small, repeatable steps. The body camera video from that first morning arrives in Marcus's inbox with a link and a case number. He watches it once in his living room, not to relive the day but to see it through the lens of learning. He notices his own slow hands, his even voice, and the way small proofs keys, mail, a door that opens carry a lot of weight. He stores the file and does not share it. He is not interested in making a moment famous. He is interested in making a habit strong. The SUV neighbor stops by with a small gift, a potted herb in a simple clay pot. "For your porch," they say. "May I put it here?" Marcus thanks them and says yes. They stand for a minute and talk about the weather, the street light that used to flicker, and the best place to buy fresh bread nearby. They are not best friends in 5 minutes. They are simply neighbors, and that is enough. On Saturday, the woman with the plants hosts a tiny porch coffee. 4 chairs, 2 mugs each, a plate of lemon cookies. The jogger arrives with a laugh and a story about almost losing a shoe in a puddle. The patrol officer walks by on his shift, sees the group, and lifts a hand. Marcus lifts one back. No one brings up titles. No one needs to. A street learns to breathe by practicing small, honest moments until they feel natural again. A week later, the training coordinator sends a short note: "Checklist deployed. Roll call practice complete. Early feedback is good." There is a photo of the laminated card, the one that fits inside a pocket. Its edges are rounded, the font clear, the steps easy to read. Marcus saves the photo because it represents something real, people writing down a better way and carrying it with them. He updates his own list at home. The back gate hinge swings cleanly now. The smoke alarms beep a friendly signal during the test. The porch boards are steady. He adds one more line on a sticky note he places on the fridge: "Start with what you can see." The words help in many places: at a door, in a meeting, in a conversation with a neighbor, even in a quiet moment by the window when a person reviews the day and asks, "Did I listen first?" As summer edges forward, Marcus walks the street in the evenings and learns names. He learns that the jogger is training for her first 10K. He learns the plant lover's secret for keeping geraniums bright: a little water, a lot of patience, and an eye for leaves that need gentle trimming. He learns that the delivery driver has a child who loves cardboard boxes because they can become anything. He learns the sound of the block's laughter at dusk. He learns the small bow the trees make when wind moves down the street like a quiet song. He also learns that change is not a headline, it is a checklist that becomes a habit. The department's future calls do not make the news, but they make a difference. An officer looks at a mailbox first. A resident shows a key with a smile. A script keeps tone respectful when nerves could rise. A mentorship program gives a young officer steady footsteps to follow. A neighbor waits 1 extra minute before calling and knocks on a door instead. These are tiny things. Together, they are not tiny at all. On a calm Sunday evening, Marcus sits on his porch steps and writes a short note to himself. He writes that leadership is not always a speech, often it is a steady hand in a small moment. He writes that respect does not need a title to stand tall. He writes that good habits do not ask for applause, they simply repeat until trust feels normal again. He closes his notebook and watches the sun drop behind the rooftops. A child laughs down the block. A bicycle bell rings once. The porch light clicks on at the same time as the neighbor's light across the street. 2 warm circles appear on the ground, side by side, like a promise. The lesson of the whole week fits inside a few simple lines: begin with facts, share the room, let proof speak before pride, use scripts when nerves are high, and when in doubt, slow down so that everyone can stand on the same floor. These lines are not fancy. They are strong because they are small enough to carry and clear enough to use. Marcus breathes in the evening air and smiles. The street is not perfect. No street is. But it is growing in the direction of care, and he can feel that growth like sunlight on the boards beneath his feet. He picks up his mug, stands, and steps inside. The door closes with its soft click. The house holds him. The neighborhood holds itself. And the morning he lived through now rests where it belongs in the past, as a lesson, shaping many better mornings to come.